Well, we're going on in lesson 80, and I have another star to report about. But anyway, what do you think? I was thinking at this time there were a lot of questions going on in the medieval ages. What was the ultimate authority in a nation? Was it the king? Was the king subject to laws? Was it the laws? Did people have the right to certain freedoms? Could they be protected against unfair judgment? These were the questions at the time. And it was kind of a hopeless time because I said, here we have this black plague going on during this time and a lot of people searching for some reason to their life and some hope for eternity. So during this time, we went over one light we know with Peter Waldo, but now we have another light. And he was born in the 1300s, about 200 years later. His name was John Wycliffe. And we call him the morning star of the Reformation. You see, he was born in the early 1300s, but he was before the true Reformation age that occurred with the church. So he was like the morning star to appear during this time. He was a priest. He was a Roman Catholic priest, and he was a scholar. He was a professor at Oxford University. He began writing and speaking against what he saw was errors in the church. And then he said, we must always keep with Scripture. We must always go back to Scripture and keep it. So he opposed the Catholic Church in quite a few different areas, especially in the accumulation of wealth, because he felt the church was using these indulgences and things to gain money for themselves in a selfish way. And so he saw the cardinals and the popes and the bishops and them getting very wealthy. And he looked and he thought, is this what God would have them to do? Is to charge the people that money so that they could possibly go to heaven, to become rich? He did not like that idea. And he also opposed the church on trying to even work. There's not the way to work your way to heaven. That you can't, and you cannot ever pray to dead people and try to get them to go to heaven after they're dead. Some of those things he thought, these are really, really crazy. And they believed the church could transform your good works and to your family. And if you gave the church all of your land, you would have especially favor with God, as they loved when people would die and then they would inherited their land. So there was a lot of not very good practices going on. Wycliffe believed that people should have the Bible in their own languages. That was his big thing. He felt that in the Bible is where they were going to learn about faith, and how they would come to know God is only through the Bible. And he couldn't figure out why the Bible was only in Latin, because he was English and none of the English people could speak Latin at all. And people, in fact, couldn't hardly read, and they were just beginning now to learn how to read and write English. So Wycliffe, guess what he did? He translated the Bible into the English language, a handwritten translation. And then Wycliffe encouraged it to be preached on the streets. And so he started reading the Bible on the streets. He said, the Bible is for the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Does that sound familiar? He said, the Bible is for the government, even. He said, we need to read this Bible. So he encouraged them. And so these preachers of the Bible with a simple faith came to him, and he gave them the Bible. And they were called Lollards at that time. And it was a Dutch word meaning poor preachers, and the people would say la 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 or whatever, but they were called Lollards. And then right away again, the church condemned these teachers instead and excommunicated him and burned the Bibles, and they had written and copied lots of Bibles by hand, and they were burning them left and right, but they were copying them over by hand. And then they basically said that any Lollard that had a Bible would and was preaching the Bible would be put to death. And so, another movement. A lot of people died. In fact, Wycliffe did not die until 1384, and he was not executed because he again, had been hit out different places. But after he died, they dug up his bones and they excommunicated his bones, and burned them and threw them in the river. Kind of weird. Like, the Morning Star here, translating the Bible. His great crime was translating the Bible into the English language. He wrote, "I believe that the end, the truth will conquer. The Bible will be translated into all languages." That makes me smile. Yes, Wycliffe was one of the first the Morning Star in the 1300s. But during this time, not too far after, another star appeared in Bohemia. Remember, we had the French, Peter Waldo, and the Waldensians in France and Italy and Bohemia. Yes, and now we have the English being the English star, Morning Star of John Wycliffe, and now we have John Hus. And we'll get into that in a bit.